Hello, people.
Hello.
This is the podcast right here, yeah. Uh
Mhm.
well, we're reviewing Friendship. So, Oliver, I'm going to let you kick it off, man. What did you think of the movie?
I fucking hate it.
You hate
Like,
it? Why do you hate it?
uh, lots of reasons, but like the main thing is the film just feels so confused, like at what it wants to
Hmm.
do. You
Mhm.
know, like if it feels like an art film, but like it doesn't really have much to say. It's also trying to be a comedy film, but like nothing. It's not funny, but like the jokes themselves, like most of them aren't even like delivered like jokes. Like it's not
Mhm.
even like dry comedy where it's like, oh, they say something like, no, it's not even like where they say something like, real funny and like deliver it with like a very like standard tone. No, it ain't even like that. It's just they don't deliver them like jokes. They don't have timings. They don't have like the proper punchlines.
The
They're
joke
just kind of stated.
it feels like there's a constant never-ending joke that just keeps on building throughout the movie, the hour and a half movie, and then there's no payoff, right? I mean, that's how I felt watching the movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about it because like forever ago when we like watched the movie together, you said this movie was a coworker movie. Now, I never really got that because I was thinking, wow, this movie's like so shit and ass. I can't imagine like anyone unironically enjoying it. But like now that I've seen, because like I looked around, I saw a bunch of articles talking about it. I saw like it got like 4 awards. I now
Yeah,
realize what you meant by that. I
dude,
now
it's a
realize,
liked movie. That's the craziest
yeah,
part.
yeah. No, let me get like that's. I understand what you mean by it being a coworker movie now because there are lots of people who are like, wow, this movie has like a deep message, and it's like, wow, this movie. Like I literally saw an article titled like, I loved Friendship, but I think I misinterpreted Craig's story, and it's like, I realize what you meant by that now. It is a movie beloved by people who think they like know art.
Yeah,
Like it's like the banana taped to the wall of like like movies.
right. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's now I understand what you meant by it being a coworker movie.
So Tim Robinson, he's the guy playing the main character, Craig. Um, he's this pretty well-known comedian. You've probably seen him. You probably recognize him, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean he has some good stuff. Like he had like this Netflix show that was pretty good. But like his whole thing is like kind of maybe not surrealist comedy, but like um maybe post-ironic would be what you'd call it, or absurdist. Um and so like I understand that the movie's going for like this absurdist kind of humor, but there's no like it's like they don't want to commit to a joke. There's a couple continuing bits through the story. Like you have his obsession with this like clothing brand, but it all just comes
Yeah.
off as like
Oh yeah, and the clothing brand isn't even like a clothing brand. It comes from a restaurant somehow, which
yeah,
don't make a lick of sense.
or like the kind of incestual relationship his wife and
which
son have.
which isn't funny. It's just weird and
It's
uncomfortable.
just weird, right? But like I think the uncomfortability is where the comedy is supposed to come from. So maybe like
Yeah.
there's something in the movie we just don't understand. I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched this 3 times now. I've watched it 3 times. For some
But-
reason, because I don't even give movies I like a second chance sometimes, and I'll just forget about them. But for some reason, this movie is so like interesting to me that I've had 2 friends sit down and watch it with me, and now I've watched it a 3rd time, and
And you have managed to convince me to watch it a fucking second time by myself. It was torture.
So let's talk about the plot a little. Like, why don't you kick us off with the plot?
Okay, so the movie starts with they're like in like a sharing circle. I don't know if they even state what the sharing circle is for. I think it's for cancer survivors, maybe. I don't know. I don't think they explain it. But
Yeah, or maybe like
it's
troubled relationships. Yeah.
some along them lines. Point is, it starts with a support group, and Craig's wife Tammy is sharing that she is a cancer survivor, and I forget exactly all she was talking about, but she was talking about like, yeah, I think it was like I'm getting a lot of support from all the like important people in my life, like my like she mentions her ex-boyfriend Devin, and then she mentions I haven't orgasmed in a long time,
Which is important later.
so yes, of course.
Well, and here's the thing. I think I think with that scene, they're like setting up that Craig is, he's an emotionally distant. He's kind of a loser. Like,
Yes, that is the one thing they established throughout the entire movie, that Craig is a loser. But like, I get it. Yeah, he is a loser.
He just seems to have a certain level of apathy that's almost like psychotic. Like,
He is
doesn't
like
care.
He is genuinely a sociopath. This is a thing we're gonna get to, but like after a certain point, friendship accidentally becomes like a fucking Stanley Kubrick film, and like I don't think it's intentional.
Well, I think it's supposed to be like somewhat scary. Craig is like kind of a scary character.
I think he's just a moron.
Well, he is a moron, but like his stupidity and his just general apathy to anything, like I think that like they're trying to make a kind of like creepy atmosphere out of it. You know what I'm saying?
But anyhow, it comes to Craig, and Craig, I forget what he said, like what all he says too, but he does make a joke at the end and is saying, "Oh yeah, and I'm orgasming fine, by the way."
Yeah, that's just a show. He straight up just doesn't. There's just a lack of care he has.
He's so socially awkward. He has he cannot carry himself in a conversation. He cannot do that at all.
You know, there's so many movies that have like a goofy, stupid character as the protagonist, and they're likable. There is never once in Friendship where I liked Craig or I like felt bad for him. Like everything that happens is ultimately his fault.
That's the thing, is that I think with Craig, I could imagine at the first like half of the movie, I can understand if someone related to Craig. Sure, I cannot personally relate to him, but I could see someone relating to him. You know, some people are socially awkward like that. Some are like have problems connecting with other people like that. You know.
Well, sure, some aspects of him, but like
but after a certain point in the film, he goes off the fucking deep end. Literally, all of his actions become inexcusable and like beyond moronic. Like you cannot sympathize with him anymore after a certain point in the movie.
Yeah, it gets to a point where like sometimes he does things because he's stupid, but some seem very intentional as well. I mean, we can get into it later, but there's some like actions that are like, okay, this wasn't even stupidity. There had to be a level of intentionality to it.
That's another thing that like made him vaguely relatable in like the first quarter to a half of the movie, is because yeah, he did a bunch of dumb shit, but like a lot of it was done with some kind of good intention. He fucked it up, but he did with some kind, like he wanted to be nice to someone or something like that. And after a certain point, he just made, even when he was doing things like that with like decent intentions, it's like the decision itself was so fucking stupid that yes, you deserve it anyways. It's no matter what your intentions were.
So what's after the conference scene?
He's coming home from work, and his wife is, moving flowers into her car, because that's what Tammy does for a living, is flowers. And a bunch of people like funnel out of his house, and like, yeah, that is the first time they mention, like, yes, they are selling their house. And you'd think, with a movie like this, and like the first and like the next like 10 minutes of the movie, you'd think that them selling their house and moving away would become a big plot point, because this movie's about an adult man making a very good friend. That's the concept of it. So you'd think, oh, the conflict later in the movie is going to be like, oh, we've forged such a good bond, but you're moving away soon, and I won't be able to see you very often. And that's sad. It's a very sad thing, But I think they mention it literally one other time in the movie. This bears like literally zero relevance on the plot. This is literally the exact opposite of the Chekhov's rifle.
Yeah, and like so it's referenced one other time in conversation, but the only other time that it's ever like, oh, that's a thing they opened up was like whenever they're in their yard, you see the for sale sign or whatever. Other than that, it's basically useless information that never even had to be in the movie. So why even put it in the movie? Yeah, but there's so many things like that in this movie. Like, where you think, okay, they're gonna go down this way, but no, actually they're gonna continue going down this way, and that was, a waste of time essentially. I will say though, and around that scene, when we're first getting introduced, I think that's when the son's first introduced and they're in their house. One of the jokes that I did like that's reoccurring, I think it happens like 3 times or so throughout the movie, was the Marvel joke. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where he just calls everything a Marvel. Literally every character calls it a Marvel instead of a Marvel movie.
I guess the point of the joke is the absurdity of people caring for that schlock, Marvel for
it ain't even that, because it seems only Craig cares about it.
Well, then no, that's not true. Everybody's watched a Marvel, and they're spoiling it for him and stuff, and like even the mayor later on talks about looking like he's in a Marvel.
Do you know what's another thing? Do you know what I interpreted about that whole thing?
What?
I interpreted the Marvel thing as like a dog whistle for something terrible to happen. Because literally, every time a Marvel is mentioned, something bad happens within the next 5 minutes.
Well, what happened the first time?
Well, that's like the first time. So he has like an outburst. He has like a big outburst. But like that's the first taste of it.
Wait, an outburst? I don't remember.
He gets like really fucking pissy and saying like, "Don't spoil the movie!
Yeah.
Don't spoil the movie!" Yeah, that's the first taste of it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, let's see. They're sitting, in their living room, and after all that converting, and his son kissing his mother on the
lips, which seems weird to even Craig. Craig points it out. That was another joke that I did kind of like, where he goes, "Did you just kiss her on the mouth?" And then they all go, "Yeah." It's normal to them, but then Craig, he's weirded out by it. Somebody that's been married to this lady for, I mean, how long?
I think they said like 6 years. Also, another thing is, I'm not sure if that's his son or not. Like, I'm not sure if he's like a stepfather or if that's his son.
It's definitely his, like, not his actual biological son.
Okay.
But he does call him dad and stuff, so they have somewhat of a relationship,
The whole Marvel outburst where he's like, "Let's go watch a Marvel." Like, the new one is so freaking... They said this new one's so freaking crazy.
Well, this is what he said. "How about we watch a Marvel? I've heard this one's gonna be nuts." I will say, like, the general, like, delivery from Tim Robinson for his lines, they're pretty good. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's a comedian that, like, does absurdist humor, so...
But anyhow, after that, uh, Tammy says, hey, Craig, the mailman made another mistake. We got a package that's supposed to be for one of our neighbors. Could you take it over to him? And that's when we're introduced to Giga Chad Austin.
Austin Carmichael. What happens is Austin shows Craig what he had in the package, which is like a hand axe from the Neolithic era or something.
It ain't even like a hand axe. It's like a carved rock.
Yeah, but that's what it is. It's an axe.
Yeah, it was used like that. It's not like it's not like attached to anything.
Well, sure, but that's what you'd call it still.
Yeah, but anyhow, then he goes on like this whole thing where like he's explaining the history of it, stuff like, think of it, some caveman was like using this, and then he looked up and he saw the starry sky, and while this entire thing is happening, Craig is looking at this hand axe and he's having like a vision. And it's like all starry and everything. And then when Austin is finished and it cuts back to Craig, his nose is bleeding. Which honestly, that first instance of the nosebleed joke is kind of funny. I do think they draw it out a little bit by them reacting to it, but yeah.
I will say I don't exactly understand the point, because
given this first time, I think it's because like he was so enamored by it that his like brain short-circuited, and that's how he got a nosebleed.
Yeah, maybe. When he reacts to the nose bleeding, he like screams for no reason, and that's another constant that I very much disliked throughout the movie, was his overreaction to things. It was so annoying, just constantly like screaming at shit. Like, loud equals funny, I guess. I don't know.
It seems to me that a lot of the humor is supposed to be derived from Craig just being kind of like strange and awkward, which I was thinking, your favorite comedy movie is Napoleon Dynamite, right?
Yes,
and that entire movie's humor is just people acting strange and awkward. That is the crux of the comedy of that entire film, and even you dislike that film, even though that they're going for kind of a similar thing.
Dislike? What do you mean? No, I love it.
You love Friendship?
Oh no, I thought you were saying I disliked Napoleon Dynamite.
I was saying even though that Friendship is going for like a similar form of comedy, you to Napoleon Dynamite, you fucking hate it.
Well, it's not. It's because like Napoleon Dynamite, the like awkward interactions, they're realistic, and they're also played straight, even though they're jokes. Like, he delivers a line in a very awkward way, and nobody like calls to it and is like, whoa, what was that, or something. They just kind of have like a physical disgust towards it, and then they move on. It's not like constantly dragged out with like, okay, this weird thing happens, and then immediately Craig screaming fuck, like, and just dragging it on, making it unfunny,
Yeah. Anyhow, the scene ends with kind of a nice note, with Austin saying, "Oh yeah, I work as the weatherman on the news." Craig of course was like, "Oh hell yeah, that's cool," and he does mention like, "Yeah, I always work nights though. I wish I could get the morning slot." Craig told him like, "Hey, you could always just ask. At my work, I wanted an office. I wanted my own office, so I just asked, and I got it." And that's nice. That's good advice.
Yeah, and there's little bits like that through the movie that like do humanize Craig. But I don't think there's enough of that, and he's just constantly played as a joke. If they just like humanized Craig, like gave him a good relationship with his son, or maybe like a relationship that's not very good but it's getting there, something like that, maybe the weird moments would pay off better, because then it's like not just this cartoon character that constantly just fucks up, so the jokes don't land. It's instead more an actually normal human being that is just a little dumb and inaffable,
That's the like foundation of like the archetypal relatable everyman of like the modern day like every modern day story. You know? That's another thing, is just like hearing the concept of the movie and then watching it was like, so the movie's supposed to be about, how hard it is to make friends as like an adult man.
Yeah.
And beyond the whole recent push for men's mental health issues and whatnot, I was thinking it would be a movie very personal to me, because you and me, we are great friends, and you were like the one. I don't have a big circle of friends. You are my best friend, and you've got me through some hard times. And I was thinking, of a movie about like one guy making that one friend. And like maintaining a relationship with them. I thought that would be relatable to me. No.
But I don't know how this movie can be relatable to anybody.
It's relatable to the guy who directed it, because first like 60 minutes of the movie, I went on like a Wikipedia deep dive, because the thing I was thinking about was, despite the fact that this movie stars two comedians, it feels like this movie wasn't written by either of them.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it does not feel like it was written by either of them. I've seen their skits. I've seen that they can make a good joke. So it's weird to see them in a movie and not make jokes the way they would. So I looked it up, and it was written by the director, who was named Andrew DeYoung. And apparently the movie was based on him having a negative relationship with a peer of his. The thing I thought about a good bit later was, all right, who's Andrew DeYoung in this relationship here? Is it the stupid idiot Craig, or is it Giga Chad Austin?
Yeah, maybe Austin's his stand-in.
Yeah, I looked at his filmography, and Friendship is his first and only movie. All the other stuff he has worked on is TV shows, one of which was Chair Company. That's like the one where he has the most involvement. I don't really know much about it. Wikipedia does list it as a cringe comedy thriller. And speaking of which, Wikipedia also classifies Friendship as a black comedy, which implies that it's funny. But anyhow, and the reason like Paul Rudd and what's his face are like the stars of the movie is that they're just personal good friends of Andrew DeYoung.
So let's skip a little bit, because there isn't anything like too notable until Austin shows him the aqueducts underground.
Anyhow, it's like the next day or whatever. They're hanging out, and Austin's like, "Hey, want to go on it?" Wait, no, he's at work, and then Austin calls him, and he's like, "Hey, want to go on an adventure?" And the implication is just like on the spot, Craig left, and he somehow wasn't like reprimanded for that.
Yeah, and that's another weird thing. I understand it's a movie, but some of the ways that the people in the movie work just doesn't make sense to reality. There's a lot of times where Craig gets away with things he shouldn't. Like that scene specifically, he just leaves work early and nobody talks to him about it.
Not only leaves work early, but literally in the middle of
he's in a meeting.
Anyhow, he's like, "Hey, you want to go on an adventure?" Craig leaves on the spot, supposedly. But then it's like night now, and they drive up to like a big old like pipe, and then they start exploring the aqueduct. Then Austin was saying, "Oh, you have really nice shoes," and Craig's like, "Yeah, I get them at the something diner. Their clothes are the only one that like fit me."
Yeah, I have the company name right here.
Oh yeah, it's like his jacket or something they're talking about.
Yeah, it's called Ocean View Dining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's like, as they're walking away, he says, "Oh yeah, and they even serve food." And as I noted here, when I first watched the movie, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I heard it all 3 times. I was taken aback by the whole. I was like, "What?"
Which I think is supposed to be the joke. Is like, wait, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah,
but like, look, man, I don't think it's funny, but I could see possibly how someone could find it funny. And then they get to an intersection, and there's one on their right, It's on a ledge that they
Mhm.
have to amble up. And of course, Austin doesn't know problem, but Craig tries it. And, in man baby fashion, he tries, he's not very good at it. And he's like yelling the entire time and screaming.
Yeah, and he's
Like,
screaming, and it's another loud equals funny joke.
yeah.
It's played off as a joke, but it's just, I mean, maybe it's funny when you're 12 and you're laughing at, you laugh you lose SpongeBob compilations where they have like a really loud sound, you know.
It's not funny. It's just not really a joke. It's just Craig has a hard time getting up a ledge. That's not a joke. That's just a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he drops his shoe, and neither of them want to go down and get the shoe, which just felt so gross to me. Because imagine walking around in an aqueduct with your socks on.
Yeah.
But anyhow, he says, "Oh yeah, we'll get on the way back."
Mhm.
And so then they go down the tunnel, and they end up in City Hall. And then they manage to make their way up to the roof. They're smoking herbal ciggies, as Austin puts it, or something like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, aside from this weird screaming that Craig does at the end there, it's actually kind of a nice scene, you know.
I'll point this out. Maybe this isn't the right place to point it out. During this whole part where Craig and Austin are hanging out, there's a few things that Austin does that then Craig does later. So,
a few things.
Austin calls cops pigs, and then Craig starts calling cops pigs. Austin smokes herbal cigarettes. Then
Actually, I think that starts a bit later with something else. But anyhow, as you're saying,
well, but anyway, Craig starts smoking herbal cigarettes and picking up like smoking as a habit, I guess. And that's one thing the movie does that I did like.
Yeah, occasionally it does show and not tell.
Yes. And I did enjoy those
in
moments.
in subtle ways, and I like that.
Yeah.
Friendship has like very, very brief flashes of it being a good movie.
Friendship is like, have you ever seen The Cable Guy? Jim Carrey movie?
I don't think I have, no.
I won't go like super in depth about it because we're not reviewing that movie, but it's basically the same premise. This guy, he needs his TV fixed. A cable guy comes over. That's Jim Carrey's character. And then Jim Carrey's character becomes obsessed with this guy and becomes like a stalker. This movie and Cable Guy have a lot of similarities, but Cable Guy is just a better representation of what they were trying to do with Friendship, in my opinion.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And it's such a low bar to clear, but yeah.
There's like a weird dream sequence where Austin narrates, "I can see into the future, and it's grand," or something like that. Imagines this world where him and Austin are like best friends and driving in this yellow car, and Austin.
No, it's like Craig saving Austin from like a heart attack or something like that.
Well, that's
and he like bride carries him.
Yeah, that's one of the scenes. It's a whole dream sequence. So
the car thing comes a little later.
No, it happens twice. In the beginning, that's how it starts, and then there's a scene where Craig saves Austin after he fell off of his roof. Also, it has a little bit of foreshadowing there, and I did kind of like that. I liked that little detail.
I did catch on that.
And then it ends off with them driving off in that yellow car. And now that you like explained to me that Austin's kind of the fill-in for the writer / director, that kind of like puts another like a dimension into this, with the writer having to deal with maybe like an obsessive friend or something.
Yeah, because it's not like a universal thing, but like I imagine most of us have had at least one guy in our lives that really, really wanted to be our friend.
Yeah.
Even though we really didn't like them that much. Or maybe quite the opposite. There was someone in your life you really, really wanted to be friends with, but they didn't really like you that much. So honestly, it could be either or.
Craig and Austin go to the woods and they pick mushrooms after that scene.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
like he's going on the whole like this is like this is like the chicken of the forest. Craig takes that mushroom home, but in that scene itself, Craig sinks in some mud, and he like freaks the fuck out.
And that's the first time he loses his phone as well.
Yeah, he lost his phone, and then Austin's like,
No, Craig goes, call my phone, and then Austin says, I don't have a phone. So then from then on, for a while, Craig stops using
doesn't
a phone.
have a phone.
Yeah,
and like Austin puts forth like says like, hey, you don't need a phone, brother. I'm looking at a free man right now.
There's aspects of this movie I do like, and I won't explain it quite yet because it'll come up later.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, though.
There's this weird scene with Craig's wife. He wakes her up and then goes, "You want a lick?" and then she's like down for it. But they built up that they don't have sex. She hasn't had an orgasm in a very long time. So then what is the scene? Didn't they specifically build up in the beginning that it's kind of a sexless marriage?
Yeah.
But I guess,
or at least not successfully sex-filled marriage.
Yeah, maybe this is because he met Craig and now he's like becoming this free man. So now,
oh, you mean Austin?
No, yeah, he met Austin and is becoming like this free man now. So now he wants to give his wife a lick, as he calls it, which was a funny joke. I chuckled like all 3 times at that joke.
Yeah.
It's just absurd.
Anyhow, I've gone down to my notes where I noted Craig sounds like Butchie Kid Videos, the guy who makes all those elaborate shitpost videos of Slender Man invading his home.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, a little bit.
He literally sounds like him. Like, I think I sent you a video. It's just like, it's the Slender Man, and he's cooking hot dogs on the stove.
Yeah, and I think he did. Didn't he do like a Bigfoot video too?
Yeah, he does. He does like a bunch of like cryptid ones. That's like the whole channel is him making shit posts like that.
Yeah. Craig goes and hangs out with Austin and his friends, and that's a pretty important scene, I would say.
As I noted in this part of the notes, is the part where Craig stops being a relatable character.
Yes.
Like a relatable and sympathetic character.
Yeah, it like takes a turn.
It really starts here. Again, this is like this movie is like a Stanley Kubrick film.
Yeah.
Not in a good way. I don't mean that in the good way.
So that scene starts with, he basically goes out into Austin's back patio and smokes a cigarette and hypes himself up. He says, "You're a freaking
he
prince."
did. Oh, right. I forgot he did smoke a cigarette in that scene. Okay, never mind.
It starts immediately after.
I thought it
Austin.
started. I thought it really started when he tried to smoke to like be friends with those other guys. But I digress.
So he calls himself a freaking prince, and then makes a fool of himself by hitting into the patio's window door. Once he goes through it, it breaks, it shatters, kind of like a cartoon. Just, and then he goes, "What does he say? What about that baseball game or something?"
Yeah, he says something like that.
Yeah, and then he kind of cements himself into the friend group with that. They all laugh and stuff, and then it goes to a scene where they're all in a circle in the garage. And this is
right, and they're sparring. Yeah, this is the part. This is the part.
Yeah, and I want to showcase like this really awkward scene too. They're all in a circle talking, and one of Austin's friends is like talking about how his daughter's breasts are getting big and he's worried about like the future or something. It's just really weird and pointless. This movie, it has so many just like pointless things like that. Craig and his family moving, and now this friend's daughter's breasts or something. Like, it's just pointless. Why even have it?
I think that gets brought up more than the fucking house.
Yeah, it does.
And then, of course, he's like, everyone's like, yeah, bro, because...
And he starts singing.
And I think in singing, I want it that way.
No,
Tell me
that's
what.
not the song they're singing.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's at night I think of you. That song.
You.
Yeah. It's just kind of awkward. And
And
then
of course, Craig's like left out of it because he doesn't know the song by heart, unlike these people.
right, and then this goes into the boxing scene.
Yeah, the boxing scene. It's Craig and Austin, and they're sparring. Of course, Craig doesn't know how to fight, so Austin like hits him in the face a couple times. And of course, every time he's like, Craig, are you okay? And of course, after he gets like hit in the nose like a second time, Austin's like, are you okay, dude? Do you wanna stop here? And then Craig fucking like sucker punches him in the face, and then like not like punches him like 4 more times and knocks him down. And of course, you know, like Austin's like knocked down. I think his like nose is bleeding or something like that. And of course, everyone's like huddled around Austin, saying like, "Austin, are you okay? Are you okay, Austin?"
Mm-hmm.
And you know, all the attention at the moment is off Craig. After he knocks down Austin, he's like, I'm the winner, yeah, and he like puts his arms up like celebrating like he did actually win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, while people are all huddling around Austin, like all the attention is off him, do you know what he does? He goes, oh, I okay guys, okay, I know when I've made a mistake.
Yeah,
I know how to fix this. And then he goes in the back to the like a sink on the wall, and then he puts a bar of soap in his mouth, and he's saying shit like, I've been a bad boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been a bad boy. And it goes on forever. It feels like fucking like 5 minutes of him just going, I'm sorry. And then it cuts to Austin and his friends, and they're like, what the fuck? I mean, that's how anybody would react in that instance, you know?
This is like the first point in the movie where you can like definitively say, yes, Craig has done a terrible thing with full intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to make his friend getting injured about him or something like that. Just like him being a sociopath is on like full display at this point.
They all leave early, and him and Austin have this like little moment. They're on shaky ground, right?
Forgot to mention, all of Austin's friends are like, fuck you, Craig, fuck you, and literally like they all just straight up fucking hate him at this point.
Yeah, which understandably so.
Understandable.
Yeah, he sucker punched the guy and then made it about himself instead of getting down in there and be like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way, you know, like that kind of thing, you know?
But anyhow, as you're saying, yes. After this scene, instead of like the next scene was him meeting him at his place of work.
Yes, and I'll put this out there. I think if Craig just gave it a few days and then came back to him and apologized, maybe a friendship still could have like been born out of that. But this isn't a normal, sane person. This is like a crazy guy, I guess. So instead,
this is a crazy guy who clearly does not understand social situations.
Yes. So instead, he goes to Austin's place of employment while they're shooting, and
him being in the room where Austin could see causes him to like goof up a line slightly. And they establish here that the morning crew for the news station is kind of cutthroat. Oh right, I remember now. Of course, Austin's like, why the fuck are you here? And like the next segment that he's doing on the news is like, well, with like a little prodigy kid, like a prodigy golf kid. And, you know, the kid walks up, you know, after, you know, Austin gets dressed on the spot by some assistants. You know, the kid walks up and, like, you know, the manager or whatever is like, all right, we're ready to shoot the segment. And Craig, upon seeing this child, says, oh, look at you. He gets like down on his knees. He's like, oh, look at you. You're dressed up like a doll. You want to go smoke some cigarettes with us?
Yeah. It makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense.
What is that?
You want to go smoke cigarettes with us, little dolly? Also, this shows Austin gets a phone call, and the whole time he did have a phone. So Austin maybe made himself out to be more interesting, which then fueled this kind of like obsession that Craig has with Austin.
What you're getting at is that he is kind of fake, which is shown a little bit later. It's not shown that much, honestly.
Oh, yeah. I think I understand the theme that they're going with. I don't think it's just friendship and stuff like that. I think it's also exploring parasocial relationships, where you think you're friends with somebody, but you're not. Or you think you know somebody more than you do. That kind of thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Craig leaves, and then the next scene is him at the phone store.
Yeah, and he buys a phone.
Yeah.
He's like his bestest friend in the whole wide world, Austin.
He, of course, Craig, in his attempt to be, more outgoing. Hey, buddy, you want to go to the bar across the street? And he's saying, oh, I'm working, and even if I wasn't, I'm 18. I can't drink. And Craig says, I thought you were older. Girls these days look like 15, so I was thinking that was true for the boys.
Yeah,
and so,
he's just a creep. He goes, teenage girls nowadays look 25, so I thought it was the same thing with the guys.
Yeah, and then after all that, before Craig leaves, the cashier fella says, by the way, if you need something a little stronger than alcohol, just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, is very obviously him offering him drugs. And then after that scene, Austin goes home, and then Tammy is like, oh yeah, a package came. And, he opens it, and it's like, it's a drum set, because he mentioned earlier, to Austin, I could get a drum set, we could, jam out, or something like that, or, Austin suggested it. Austin's really excited, and and he mentions this is for himself, and Tammy's like, wait, that's not for whatever their son's name is. And it says, oh no, it's for me.
Yeah.
Right
here in the movie, I wrote a note. This was where I started to get frustrated again. This is straight up my notes for these few scenes right here. Austin has a phone now. Makes Craig get a new phone with a bunch of question marks. Tries to make buds with salesmen. Is really creepy. Is this a joke? Why is his wife relatively normal while he is a freak? And then Craig got drunk.
I don't think you should say that, because his wife, again, the weird incestuous relationship.
Well, sure, but yeah, but it's just why? This whole movie's just why? That's all this movie is. Throughout the entire movie, I'm constantly just, okay, why? Okay, why is this happening? Things just happen.
Yeah.
It feels like a fever dream. The first time I watched it with my buddy Aiden, and we were both just gobsmacked the entire time. It just feels like some kind of trip.
Of course, you were there when I first watched it, and you could probably attest that is the first time in a long time I've gotten actively angry at a movie.
Yeah.
I was so mad the entire time.
Things just happen for no reason. He goes with his son Steve into the same woods and finds a mushroom, and this time it's poisonous, and then eats it, right? And then him and his son go to the mall, and for some reason this little kid on a pig car thing drives past for no reason.
I think that was a grown-ass man that was actually doing
Oh yeah, grown man. But it's why?
In essence, the first thing that happened, the first thing Craig does with his new drum sets is he wheels it over to Austin's house, and it's his wife that answers the door, and she's disappointed, oh, Austin, it's Craig. And Austin comes to the door. He's he's in a weird getup, And Craig's like, "Hey, dude, I got my drum set. We could play some tunes like right now. We could jam out." And Austin's like, and of course Austin tells him straight, "I don't think we could continue this friendship anymore."
Right.
And of course,
Yeah.
as you'd imagine, Craig is devastated. And Craig also asks, "What's with the weird getup?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing a segment at the local Ren fair." And yeah, like Austin's like, "Please do not come over to my house anymore. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hang out with you anymore." And like before Austin closes the door, Craig's like, "Come on, dude." And that's it. And then the scene ends. So they're not friends anymore. And then after this is he's hanging out with his son. He picks a random ass mushroom off the floor and he tries saying like the thing that Austin said when he was hanging out with him was like, yeah, this is like the chicken of the forest or whatever. And he just takes a bite of it, like raw. Like, remember that Austin explicitly said you had to cook it when, like in that original scene. Like Craig just bites it just straight up raw, no cooking. And Steve's like, "Are you sure you should be doing that?" And like Craig's like, "No, you should take a bite too." And of course, Steve doesn't. And next scene, they're at the mall and they're like just sitting on a bench, like silence between them. Some guy on like one of those like weird like little animal vehicles, like a grown-ass man on one of those, zooms by, and Craig's like, that guy was zooming by fast.
Yeah.
Like clearly trying to make conversation with his son. And then Steve's going like, "Yep, yeah. And of course, Craig, sorry, excuse me. Of course, Craig suddenly starts vomiting into his cup, and Steve like gets up, like, "God damn it, Dad! I knew those were poisonous." And then Steve walks away. The next scene is Craig's at work. He doesn't have a friend anymore. He doesn't have friends at all.
Basically, he goes out and tries to smoke with the boys, and then he invites them over to hang out in his garage.
Which, by the way, I am baffled he managed to convince like 5 people he's never really talked to before to like come to his house.
I mean, I'm not. I'm a fairly social person, so like, I'll hang out with people I don't particularly like sometimes just to do so. But anyway, yeah, so they're in the garage, and he tries to show them this, like, tiny little letter opener. And he's like, "Look, this is a sword from the medieval century." He's essentially trying to recreate what he had with Austin.
Yeah.
And
he says something like, "Imagine being like a knight in armor and then like, charging at someone with one of these."
Yeah, and while Craig he got like incredibly enamored by what Austin was saying, these guys from work like very clearly do not give a fuck about what he's saying, and in fact like make fun of him. And I think that's the only time they actually, well, there's 2 times, but it's one of the only times that they actually try to humanize Craig and try to make you feel bad for him, because now he's trying to make like a friend group. And these people, they don't care. They don't care about him. They're making fun of him the whole time, There's this re-election thing. Then he gets a mail from Austin again, and his nose bleeds seeing that he can use this as a chance to talk to Austin.
Again, yeah. And then he goes there. He's not there. This is another like incredibly like moronic and sociopathic thing to do. He knocks on the door, and for some reason, instead of waiting there for like a good bit or just leaving it there on the foot of the door, he climbs the fucking fence to his backyard, and he breaks in through the like broken back door. He like sneaks in. He's checking things out, and he makes his way to Austin's personal office, he finds a very fancy, ornate like gun he has. It's like a 1911 or something.
Yeah, gold-plated 1911.
Yes, very clearly valuable, important item. And then he just he's holding it, and his wife, comes out of the room, and she's like, "Hey, Austin, did you hear knocking?" And of course, Craig's like, "Oh shit, they're here!" And he sneaks out back, realizes he has the gun still in his hands. Instead of like dropping it on the floor or something, he just leaves with it. He just straight up steals like a very valuable item from Austin.
This scene did not have to happen at all.
Yeah.
It's just,
I kind of did to facilitate the end of the movie, but
sure, but like it's at that point, then it's just in service of the script. Like there's no actual logical reason as to why Craig would decide to break into his house to give him a letter. It doesn't make sense.
he's just that desperate, I suppose.
I guess. Just these things happen for no reason.
And then the next scene is like, they're back at the house. They're in the kitchen, and at some point, Tammy's showing Craig a flower, and it's like, it zooms in on it, and it looks real pretty and whatnot. But anyhow, in this scene, they're in the kitchen, they're talking about whatever, and Tammy was like, "Oh yeah, weren't we supposed to go eat with the Austin today?" And Craig goes like, oh, okay. And then he like goes to the phone and fakes like a call saying like, "Oh, y'all are sick now? Oh, okay, I'll tell Tammy that." And Tammy hears this, and then Tammy says, "Oh, we should invite over Devin." And Craig's like, "Who's Devin?" And then Tammy says, my ex, the fireman." God, do you never listen to me? Of course, Tammy's really upset over this because for some fucking reason. And then Craig goes to the corner where like the phone was, and he's staring at her wife, and it's like, again, it's shot like a fucking Stanley Kubrick film.
Yeah, it's just like
sinister music is building up.
Yeah,
he's
weird,
like looking at her with like a blank expression on his face.
Just a weird like intensity for no reason. Like why? In this comedy movie.
And then Craig says, "Hey, you want to go on an adventure?"
And then he takes her to the aqueduct that him and Austin went to early in the movie.
And of course, Tammy doesn't like it one bit. Craig has to constantly pressure her to keep her going. And he even pulls the like, "You say this" card, like saying like, "You say we never do anything together. Well, we're doing something now." Getting her to do something she clearly doesn't want to do. And of course, like, he knows nothing about these aqueducts. Tammy goes ahead of him and gets lost. And Craig cannot find her. Craig's calling out for her, can't find her at all. And Craig goes home. And of course, Steven's like, "Hey, where's Mom?" And it's like, she's not here right now. She's doing something. And then the cops come. And outside is Austin behind him. And he's like, "Hey, your neighbor's house got broke into. Yeah, wouldn't happen. Know anything about that? We brought a dog over, and like the dog led us to your house." Austin's pointing and yelling at him, trying to get at him, saying like, "It was fucking him. It was him. He did it. He did it." Which like in another movie, this would be like a way to show that like this character makes like rash decisions, or like he has a very negative opinion. Like a very unfounded negative opinion of the character, like the main character. But like in this movie,
right.
It's completely justified. He's right. He's completely correct. He knows Craig well enough that he would do something like this.
Yeah, Craig's a freak, and he doesn't hide it.
Of course, the cops ask, "Is it just you and your son in this house?" And Craig says, "No, my wife also lives here." And the cop asks, like, "May we talk to her?" And he says, "She's not here right now.
Yeah.
She's in the sewer." And
Yep.
it cuts to all the cops in the sewer. As soon as the cops are pressuring Craig that, he did something wrong and like punishable by law, he immediately tries to throw Austin under the bus.
Austin showed me the aqueducts of really, it's his fault too.
And as he's being dragged away, he's like, "He called you all pigs! He calls you all pigs!"
Yeah. So then they take in Austin and Craig so they can get this figured out. They're in the jail cell, and obviously Austin's angry at Craig. He's freaking out, and then slips on piss and reveals that he's balding and actually has been wearing a toupee this whole time. To which Craig hides from it, and Austin
he shields his eyes.
Yeah, and Austin's like putting it on, and he's like, "Am I okay? Am I okay?" And then Craig's like, "Yeah." And not long after that, the cops come back in because of Austin being a newsman. They basically let him out, essentially.
Yeah. Also, not to mention, he's just a generally charismatic guy.
Yeah, and people like him.
Yeah.
He's a normal dude.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the scene where Craig comes home after losing his wife in the aqueducts. His son Steven has actually like a friend over, and he's playing fucking Flight Sim, doing like role plays, doing role play, and like instead of talking on Skype or Discord like a normal person, he's talking to his friend
on a landline telephone. Yeah. And he has a friend there at the dining room table too. It's like, what?
What the fuck did these kids get up to? I digress. Back to, Austin asks, "Please do not tell anyone. This could ruin my life if this gets out." And surprisingly enough, Craig actually doesn't do anything with this information. Like, he actually does keep the secret. Then, after all this is one of the this is like the best scene in the movie, like start to finish, outside of like one comment that Craig makes. So Craig comes home from all that, and Steven comes out of the room, and he's like, "Why aren't you out there looking for my mom? Why aren't you doing that?" And he says, like, "I can't. I have to work. I have to go to work." And then Steven's like, of course, incredibly upset with Craig, and like storms off, or like storms into his room and whatnot. And then he gets a call, and it's like for Tammy's like floral services, and like as he's noting like down what they want on a bouquet, he notices that flower that Tammy showed him earlier in the movie, and it's like like a similar close-up shot of the flower, and it cuts to like a still image of Tammy smiling and like across the room, and then you hear a thud, and it's like it cuts back to the flower, you hear a thud, and then it cuts to, you can see Craig's on the floor and you can hear him sobbing. That is the one really good scene of the movie.
That's the only other time Craig gets some level of like humanization, like, oh
yeah,
they
show so much without telling. They show that he does genuinely feel guilty about everything. It shows he genuinely does love his wife.
Yeah, he loves his wife.
And he does remember the flower that she showed her. They showed so much about like Craig without saying a goddamn word. And this is like the one scene in the movie really like that.
Oh, he goes to this meeting after with the mayor. Basically, did we ever explain what his company is?
Yeah.
So his company basically like tries to find ways to make like apps and stuff more addicting to people, essentially.
Yeah.
And they get a contract with the mayor because he's getting reelected. In this meeting, they're brainstorming Craig. He has this presentation.
Yeah, that's like thematically relevant to the movie.
He's basically describing making people parasocially attracted to the mayor in order to win votes. And then his coworkers they're like portrayed as meatheads, and they're like, no, no, no. Instead, let's make the mayor look like a marvel, and the mayor loves it.
And of course, this is when I realized the movie was using Marvel as a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Because right after, Craig goes into a fucking breakdown, and he's like, and he attempts to attack the mayor on the spot, and he is dragged out of the room.
Yeah. And I did like that scene. It was a pretty good scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene. And then after, it's, him in his office looking out at the people around the urn, and they're of course like joking about that whole event. Mm-hmm. Which of course, would make me feel bad if Craig was a better person.
And this is the one like time where an actually like grounded consequence happens to from his actions. He gets fired from his job for this. He gets let go.
Yeah, and of course, also not to mention, he saw people making fun of him.
Well, yeah, but people make fun of him throughout the entire movie. I mean, his coworker.
Yeah.
I mean, even at the beginning, like he's going down the hallway with his coffee, and then the guy calls him like a prick or something.
Oh yeah, no, not a single person in this movie respects him, except for like Austin for like 20 minutes, like 10 to 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
maybe Austin respects him.
So then we get back home. Tammy's there. The cops found Tammy.
Yep.
Go on, explain what happens.
I'm trying to remember what exactly they conversed about, but
this is when Tammy explains to Craig that she had an orgasm for the first time.
Actually, no, that comes later.
That's like right then, isn't it?
No, it comes later. It's like
no.
She does. That does come later. I forget exactly when it happens, but it's like after she gets on TV and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She explains she's going on TV, and that they're also having like a party or something.
Yeah, a party tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, like a whole can of worms to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of weird shit happens.
Yeah.
Then. So, next scene is like, the party's happening. Of course, like Craig, since Craig is, so antisocial, he's just kind of hanging out in the garage.
Yeah.
And then some army vet guy.
Which this guy's, I forget the name they give him. I don't even think they give him a name.
Wait.
Well, I wanted to explain. He's being played by Connor O'Malley, which is another absurdist comedian. I really like Connor O'Malley, personally. I like him more than I like Tim Robinson, because generally I don't like Tim Robinson. I liked some of the episodes of his show, but a lot of his show is just like screaming, pretty much. He just screams like through most of the episodes, and they're not very clever in my opinion, but people love his show. So maybe this movie and like his comedy just doesn't work for me. But Connor O'Malley's comedy works for me. It is absurdist in a similar way, but like, I don't know. I think he does it better. You might actually know this one. There was this. It got like super viral. He was doing a fake podcast where he was explaining like how 5G is infecting people or whatever, and it's really hilarious.
Mm.
But anyway, I digress.
I thought I like put down what the name of the army vet guy was, but anyhow, he comes into the garage saying like, "Hey, how's things going?" And he's like, they're just kind of shooting the shit. He's like complimenting his like drum set, and of course it seems like they're just like they're just shooting the shit, and then he asks, saying, "Hey, how do you feel now that your wife is back?" And he says, "Oh yeah, it's like a huge relief. He's a huge load off my mind." And he says, "No, I mean, like, how did it feel like having your wife come back after you tried to kill her?" And of course, that is like again, Craig sucks. That is the most like uncalled for thing ever.
Yeah, he doesn't even know Craig. He doesn't even know why Craig sucks.
He just immediately starts antagonizing him in his own goddamn house.
Yeah.
And of course, they're like yelling at each other, and like Craig, very like that. Like this is the one time Craig is like the sensible one in a conversation. He's like saying, "You don't even fucking know me. What the fuck are you on about? Get the hell out."
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying like, "Dude, like I would love if my wife was Tammy, like even like non-sexually, like a business associate."
Yeah. And this is just another example. This is just another example of one of those scenes that have no point in the movie, it makes no sense. Like, okay, why? It's just an excuse to get Connor O'Malley into the movie. That's all it is.
Yeah, and then Craig goes out. And does like a toast speech and whatnot, saying like it's so nice that like Tammy is back, and then like she has made a positive impact on so many people in her life, or stuff like that. And then Devin is there, and he takes over from there. And when he talks about Tammy, he uses her old last name, which is just like. Also really strange.
It's strange and rude. Also, Craig's possible stepson, like very clearly likes Tammy's ex, Devin, a whole lot more than he likes Craig, which is weird.
Which, like at a certain point, with how hard they're pushing this whole bit, is like, why the fuck are they married to Craig anyway?
Why is Tammy with Craig? Just go back to Devin.
Yeah, when like she brings him up at literally every opportunity. His son likes Devin more.
Yeah.
Like Devin, and it's not even like a matter of money, because like Devin's a successful person.
Yeah,
so, like,
and
why?
Devin's just a better guy in general. Like, yeah.
They never explain it.
Yeah, it's just weird. And then Craig tries to make it about him, and he's like, "All right, everybody, let's do like a conga line, or like
parade for Tammy."
Yeah, parade for Tammy, and he parades out, and nobody follows him, of course. And then he goes, "Fuck, shit," and then he starts smoking. And then the next scene goes on.
No, you forgot the part. He goes outside. He realizes nobody followed him, and he goes, "Fucking little rats."
He calls them rats.
Fucking
why?
Rat.
Like, why?
Yeah, and then he goes out and then like starts smoking a cigarette, which like shows that like this is no longer a thing he did to try and fit in. He now just does have a
he just has a smoking habit. Yeah.
But anyhow, and then like it cuts back to inside for a brief second, and you can hear the army vet guy speaking, and he says like, "And anyhow, we should have been fighting we should have kept fighting in Afghanistan. I don't know why we pulled out."
Yeah, which is funny, and I mean it's the line that Connor O'Malley has, and so obviously it's funny. I mean, I like Connor O'Malley, so yeah. And then he goes back to the phone store. But instead, he's not buying a phone. Well, no, he does buy a phone.
Wait, no. This happens after the next scene, which is, Craig sees Tammy on TV, and they're talking about it, and then next time Tammy's home, they're talking about it, and then of course, Craig says the very sociopathic thing of, you wouldn't have gotten on TV if I didn't leave you in those sewers.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, and then Tammy drops the bombshell that she jorked it and came in the sewers.
Yeah, which is just nasty.
And Tammy
So
says,
nasty.
yeah, we're gonna have a divorce, and I'm gonna go. Me and Steven are gonna go stay with Devin.
Yeah, in his
But
pool
then he
house.
goes back to the phone store.
Yeah, he goes back to the phone store to talk to Tony, the phone salesman, and he wants to get drugs. At first, he asks for ayahuasca, but he doesn't have ayahuasca, so he says, "Well, why don't you lick this toad instead, and get high off of it?"
Hmm.
And then he does.
And instead of the drug fella, he's like giving him his whole. He lays him down in the dark, and he says,
Yeah.
like, you're about to go through a journey where you're going to meld with the consciousness of the universe, and you'll die 100 times and be reborn. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really hyping it up, and then the vision he has itself is just him going to Subway.
Yeah, he's at
and
Subway.
the sandwich guy is just a really old Austin, and then he just orders a sandwich. He doesn't even get to eat it. He just orders a sandwich.
And then he wakes up.
Yeah, and he tells the drug guy, and he says, the frog works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like a commentary on people trying to find the truth. Some kind of like cosmic truth through getting high off your gourd. And that is like a weird thing, and I could actually go into this. So I try to like learn about maybe not like spiritualism, but like I guess kind of like spiritualism and stuff, because I would say I'm agnostic, and I have come into this problem where a lot of people that like to talk about spiritualism, they take psychedelics, and the whole point of psychedelics is it gives you visions, like fake visions that mean nothing, literally nothing, and then they'll find some kind of meaning behind it, as if it means anything and you're not just high. It's
I mean, at most, it could be something like Dream, where it's just your brain taking things you already know and cobbling them together.
Yeah, but
At most.
it's not showing you some cosmic truth. I think the only way you're getting some kind of truth would be through some level of sobriety, than taking a drug that literally inhibits you and makes you, see things. So I think that's what it's trying to comment on, is people like taking ayahuasca and like these weird psychedelic drugs to find the truth in things. But
I want to say you're looking way too deep.
I'm not. I promise you that.
That's the thing. I was about to say. I want to say you're giving this movie too much credit, but like it's clearly trying really hard to be artsy like that. So that's probably what that means.
Well, I don't even think
really
it's artsy. I think it is pretty poignant. Like, he takes a drug to get some kind of like understanding about the universe, and instead gets a trip about buying a sub from Subway. Like that is very clearly what they're trying to get at, and it's not artsy fartsy. I mean, that's a funny, like, that's a good premise to make fun of, I think.
Yeah. Also,
the movie isn't all bad. I mean, I'll say that. Like, I didn't like the movie in general, but there's parts in it that I do appreciate.
I told you this before. Is it the worst movie in the world? No. Far from it. There's a million worse movies, but like, out of all the movies I've ever seen, it's the worst. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I've told you again, it's the first movie that has made me actively angry watching the entire thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say I don't think I hate it personally.
I don't like it.
I don't like it, but I've seen worse movies.
I've told you before, I don't actively seek out to watch bad movies. That's not a thing I do. I don't watch enough movies to do that.
Well, if this podcast keeps going, you're gonna be seeing worse movies. I promise you.
I know.
Like the Fred movie. I want to watch the Fred movie.
Oh my god. Okay,
Or
you
Kick-Ass,
remember?
yeah.
This is digressing a lot, but like, you know that friend I've told you about that knows way too much about Cyrax that gives me like regular updates.
Mm-hmm.
He has championed the Fred movie to me
Okay.
about how it's secretly some kind of like high art. And how it's like a really good coming of age story. And given how esoteric the fella is, I can't tell you if he's joking or not.
He might be it sounds ironic. He's being ironic about it.
Yes, but he's so fucking weird that I wouldn't believe I believe that there's some kind of truth to it.
Maybe we can get him on to review the Fred movie.
Maybe. He doesn't really talk much. But
okay.
But we'll see about that. But anyhow, at the end of that whole Cane Toad scene, well, it's not Cane Toad, but at the end of the Toads, like the trip scene, he's like, "Damn, that Toad ripped me the fuck off because he paid $100 to lick it."
Yeah.
So after this scene, after he gets his new phone, the phone says, "Welcome to your new," like it says, "Welcome to your new life," and it like, you know, it's a wide shot of like his, you know, you see a bunch of like furniture and like decorations missing, and it says, and of course, and like after, you know, the phone says, after it hangs on that shot, Craig in anger throws the phone into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Which like is another flash of like good like show don't tell storytelling. Yeah. It's not subtle, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
And then after this is the Chud Manifesto voiceover. That's literally what I wrote down in my notes. And literally, this is word for word what I wrote down.
Fuck my Chud life.
And this is what I wrote down. And then Craig proceeds to start doing a disembodied voice Chud Manifesto narration where he talks about how men shouldn't have friends, despite the fact that literally everything that has happened to him is his fault.
Yeah, it's his fault. It has nothing to do with Austin.
Yeah. And then the next scene is like he's at a restaurant with like Tammy and his son Steven, and like they're actually like talking. They're talking, and they don't seem to have like a bunch of contempt for each other. Steven mentions that he offhandedly that he has like 2 girlfriends, which is never acknowledged.
Maybe the other girlfriend's his mom.
It could mean literally, it could be anything. But anyhow, they like seem to be like actually on good terms now again. And then he stands up, then someone bumps into his wife and doesn't apologize, and then he makes like a big deal out of it and like stands up for her, and it works. Like, even though there was a bunch of tough guys, it actually like works.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, they're talking. This part of the movie, it's like the last quarter is kind of weird because you think as the viewer, at least I think, oh, okay, it's on an up and up. Like he's starting to have some character progression. He's standing up for his wife. He doesn't seem to care a whole lot about Austin anymore, and he's starting to care more about what really matters, which is his family. Yeah, and like, yeah, that's it. Like it looks like things are on the up and up. You know, next they're going to, you know, next they're at his. Oh yeah, he mentions like, oh yeah, I bought you a new van because, you know, earlier in the movie, there is this whole thing where they foreshadowed this like super early, where it's like, you know, Tammy was having trouble getting flowers into her car because her car was too small, and she was like, oh god damn it, I wish I had a van. So Craig buys her a van at this point, and she's like, "Oh my god, yeah!" And in the scene where they're driving home, Steven's sitting in the front seat, and Craig's sitting in the back.
Yeah,
because of course. But and you know, they're at home and they're like talking. They seem generally happy. They're talking about dinner. You know, Steven's the one that brings up the idea of like, "Hey, we should go see a Marvel." Which, of course, is a dog whistle. Yeah. It's another dog whistle, but we'll get to that. And then I forget what they're missing. I think it's literally just candles, but like Tammy's like, Tammy's like, oh, then you should go to the store and get some like candles, and yeah, then she suggests, you could take the new van, might as well give it a spin. And it's like Craig takes up that idea, he gets in the van, and then he's just in the car, staring, and then it cuts to Austin's new yellow car. And after staring at it for like a minute, starts playing screamo music, and then he accelerates full speed, like trying to crash into Austin's new yellow car, which then just breaks the new van because of the speed bump that was like talked about way earlier in the movie. We didn't talk about the speed bump.
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but anyhow, he breaks the van that he explicitly got to repair, like, for his wife, trying to in a petty rage, trying to destroy his, former friend's new car that he was excited about, which fails completely and just destroys the van. And then Craig, in his infinite wisdom, instead of letting this go or like trying to, salvage something like this or like just go back or whatever, literally anything, he gets out of the car, climbs the fence, and then sneaks in through the back door that doesn't have glass anymore, while all of Austin's friends are over. Craig sneaks in, he immediately goes to the fridge, gets like 2 beers, and he, like, of course, people start to notice that he's there now, and he's like, and like while everyone's looking at him, he's like, I just got here and I'm already double fisting it. And of course, like everyone's like confused, and like people are like, dude, you should leave. Like Austin like notices and like, dude, you should leave. And then Craig says like ew. Clearly resisting their attempts to get him outside, is like he goes on like a speech saying like, oh yeah, he does also mention the guy's busty daughter. I don't want to talk anymore about it. Yeah. But yeah, he's like, okay, he goes on this whole thing where it's like, guys, I'm really sorry about before y'all make me go, I have to apologize for the last time we were like here together. I made a massive mistake, and I did not get the chance to make it up to any of you, and I'm I'm regretful over that, stuff like that. And like they're clearly taking the apology, but like they still want him to leave. So and then like they ask him like, okay, we accept your apology, please leave. And he says, can I please stay? And they're not taking it. So Craig tries to grab Austin to make lead him outside, and then Austin, from his jacket pocket, pulls out the 1911 he stole.
Yeah.
And then he holds the entire party hostage. And he starts yelling. I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. None of y'all even know me. None of y'all gave me a second chance. None of y'all know me. And he starts pointing the gun to the people and saying, ask me some. Ask me. And some guy, and one of the guys asks, what's your favorite food? And he's like, he can't think of anything. So he's just like, oh God, I'm so stressed. And then he like lowers the gun for a second, and he's like saying, wow, this must seem so crazy to y'all. Why don't we just start singing? And then Craig starts singing the whole like, well, what's that song again?
At night, I think of you.
Yeah, he starts that, expecting people to join in, and instead, Austin goes for his gun, He doesn't wrestle it away from him, and he shoots it into the floor, and everyone dives for cover, including Austin. And then, Craig has the gun back up, and then Craig sees that Austin's toupee fell over. And seeing that, he starts screaming like, "Everyone get your fucking head down. If I see any of your heads, I'm going to blow your fucking head off." And then, like,
to keep him
gestures...
distracted.
Yeah, he gestures to Austin, gestures to him to show him that, like, his toupee fell off. And then he, like, continues doing the screaming and the yelling and the threatening while Austin, like, puts his toupee back on. And then, he puts it on. Austin gestures to him, like, with a thumbs up and whatnot. And he says, "All right, guys, I think I've had enough, and I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go now." And then the police sirens and whatnot outside, and he's like, "God damn it! Did one of y'all call the cops?" And then he runs out the back door and he falls over.
Yeah.
Wait, no. By then I forgot. By then the back door was repaired.
Oh,
he crashed
he
into
it.
it. Yeah, and falls over. And of course, the next scene is like him being bride carried out of the garage to the police, which is, was foreshadowed in that, like, delusional dream.
He saw the future, kind of. Some of the stuff from the dream happens. I mean, Austin gets his yellow car. Craig climbs over that section of the fence. Craig gets carried by Austin, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he gets carried by Austin to the cops and stuff like that. So, I mean, he did kind of see the future a little bit.
Yeah. And then the next scene is like Craig sitting in the police car, and everyone's talking to the cops and whatnot. And he's looking out longingly, and then he has like another delusional dream where it's like everyone's just like leaving and saying, "Oh yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow. See y'all tomorrow night." And like, it's just him and like Austin left, and he says, I'll talk to you later, man." And it's like clearly a delusional dream of him like imagining if like that party ended on a good note.
Yeah, if he didn't sucker punch Austin.
Yes, and then Austin looks back at him. I honestly can't tell you if this really happened or if this is another delusional vision of his. Could honestly be either. But Austin looks back at him in the police car and winks at him. Smiles. And then credits.
Here, hold on, Oliver.
And then it cuts to credits. And of course it plays the whole like, "I not think of you." For like the credits, and that's the end of the film.
So after all that's said and done, what are your final thoughts on the movie?
Kind of the same like as that I started with. It's just, it feels so confused, and then like after a certain point it becomes Stanley Kubrick film. Yeah,
it's confused, but there's something there. Like, I don't want to say I hate it. I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
I hate it. But like I get what you mean. Like there is like flashes of a good movie here. This is clearly someone who could make a good movie. It's just like I said, this is the first time he's directed a film, and you can kind of feel it because like the writing is so off.
Yeah,
the writing is so very, very off.
But so if I were to rate it 1 out of 10, I would give it a 4.
I'd also give it a 4. Well, 4 or 3.
I give it a 4 because I like how the movie looks visually. It's a very nice looking movie. It is
actually shot well, and the score is actually surprisingly good.
The score's good.
In fact, it's quite weird because there's a couple times where like the transition is like so like bad and stock.
Yeah,
and it's,
but
like,
I
it's
think
so
they did that on
jarring
purpose.
like because otherwise the movie is like shot incredibly well.
Yeah, it looks good. It's very beautiful. There's oddly beautiful shots, like the shot of the orchid and stuff like that.
DeYoung may be a shitty writer, but he is a good like director.
I don't even know
that.
if he's specifically a shitty writer or if this was his first movie, like his
It's
first
either
actual
that or he
writing
got
credit.
really. It's either that or he got really ambitious for his first film.
Yeah,
this
maybe.
feels like someone trying to. This feels like someone trying.
He's
to
trying
break the
too
mold.
many things. He's trying too
Yeah.
many things, and amateurs do that, you know.
Yeah.
So like I think he has promise. I'm gonna watch The Chair Company. Maybe he reels it in a little bit. I'm curious on how The Chair Company is now that all the episodes are out. But
maybe it's much better because like the way you write a movie is very different from the way you write a TV show.
yes.
And maybe he's good at writing TV shows.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 10. I think anything lower, you're gonna have to start like contesting with Morbius and stuff. And is Morbius and this movie on the same level? Hell no. Hell no. So I think 4 out of 10's fine. It's a little below average. But I think given he was reeled in, he stuck to maybe 1 or 2 themes, because the themes are all over the place in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's also this theme about like if there's a creator and God with Tammy, that ultimately goes nowhere. So I think if the movie was reeled in, and it was just about
also like I can't tell if those like dead plot threads were like either like mistakes or like again him trying to break the mold and like throw off the audience. I don't know which.
Right.
Given how pretentious the film is, I wouldn't be surprised if it was doing the latter.
Yeah. Well, there it is. There's the video. I guess if people even watch it and they watch to the end, let us know how to do this better. This is the first video.
Are we committing to the whole podcast pending name? Because I like that name.
Yeah, I like it.
Because he didn't say it in the intro.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
But yeah, if you watched the full thing, just let us know how to do, like what we should do to make it better. Yeah, that's it.
Y'all have a good day.
Bye.